Next up, taking a peek at the steering wheel as well as the cluster screen inside of the Infiniti QX60. First thing I'm going to point out, there are technically two different cluster screens that are available. So it's either going to be this 12.3-inch digital, and then there's a smaller analog one as well with partial digital in the very middle. But you're going to find this screen in the majority of Infiniti vehicles. But if I get the chance to be in one with the analog cluster, I'll put a walkthrough video together. If it's available, you'll find it down in the description of this video. Now, inside of the QX60, the steering wheel, is going to be power telescoping. So just by your left knee, you can go forwards, backwards, up and down to find that perfect position for you. Now, the steering wheel is also heated. So just on the right side, you've got a button in order to toggle that heated steering wheel on or off, and it's heated in all of the right places. It's nice. On top of that, the vehicle has paddle shifters. So you've got your minus on the left and your plus on the right-hand side. So you can drop down if you wanted to rely on engine braking, or if you wanted to drop down to shoot up your RPMs in order to be able to pass somebody a little bit easier. But if you want an actual walkthrough, like you want to know how to use paddle shifters, check down in the description of this video. I've put together a comprehensive video explaining how paddle shifters actually work. The stick on the left-hand side, there's a button on the tip of it, well, not necessarily a button, but a little selector switch to go between different lighting options. Auto mode means the vehicle is going to determine whether or not the lights come on. But one thing about the auto mode is that you can't permanently lock your high beams out. You can flash them if you wanted to, but in order to lock out your high beams, you actually have to be in the light on mode instead. Then you can push away in order to turn on your high beams, pull back towards you to turn them off instead. But with the auto mode, what that means is that if the vehicle recognizes the high beams are needed at night, it's automatically going to turn them on. If somebody's oncoming, it's going to dim them before turning them right back on again. So it's really useful from a safety perspective. Along the right side, you've got the option of adjusting what's going on with your wipers. So you can see there's an auto mode versus a fast mode. When you're in auto, there's this little selector switch in the middle. So it's what's the intensity of the rain that's hitting the windshield. And there's a button on the tip of the stick there, and that's going to be for adjusting your rear view mirror, or your rear wiper, I should say. You're going to pull in towards you for the front wiper fluid, and then you're going to push away in order to get that rear wiper fluid going instead. So very straightforward using those sticks. Series of different buttons that are available too. Now, there's also a few other buttons that are just down the left side. So the first one is going to be for your steering assist. So steering assist on or off. There's this button to toggle on or off your head-up display. And then there's another one, you just can't make it out, but that's for your trunk. So you can open and close it from the inside. Now, this one, so your steering assist, is tied into your adaptive cruise control settings there. So you can toggle on the adaptive cruise control, and then you've also got a distance indicator. So it's how close or far are you away from the vehicle that's in front of you. I want you to think of it almost like a 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi type of a rule. So you're 1 second away, 2, 3 seconds, whatever the case may be. I find if you're using adaptive cruise on regular city streets, 1 is okay. On the highway, I tend to find 2 is the best, but that's going to be a matter of preference there. From there, for the adaptive cruise, once you've got it turned on, you're at the speed that you'd like, you're going to push down in order to set, and then you can increase or decrease 1 kilometer or 1 mile per hour at a time. You can hit this button in the middle to cancel, you can hit the brake to cancel, and then you just push up in order to resume your previously set speed. But it's adaptive cruise with stop and go. So if a car's in front of you, it'll slow you down automatically. It can stop for up to 3 seconds without you having to resume. After 3 seconds, it'll turn on, unless you're on a highway. If you're on a highway, it's a stop for up to 30 seconds before it'll automatically resume instead. But if you want to walk through a live demonstration of how the adaptive cruise control system works, look down in the description of this video in order to see one. It's a really straightforward process. There's also the option of answering hanging up on a phone call, and there's a voice command prompt. And you'd be able to do things
Canceling voice recognition.
You could do things like change songs, radio stations, navigate using your voice, and things like that. Along the left side, there are a few other buttons. So this one is going to navigate through your little cluster screen there. You can also change between different presets. So you can change between presets this way if you want to, or one nice thing is that you can also do a press and hold if you wanted to be able to seek instead. So it's really neat that you've got the flexibility, but honestly, you can change things just using your voice. So you can change songs, stations, etc. just using your voice by pushing the voice command prompt. You could also increase or decrease your audio this way. But one thing to point out is that the audio you can increase, decrease this way, but there is no way in order to mute out. So to mute, you could just use the rocker down the center there instead. And then you've got a series of other buttons, and that's to move you through the actual cluster screen. So let's hop into the screen there, and I'll show you a few other things you're going to need to know. So I did mention there are 2 different clusters that are available, but inside of the cluster screen, you've got your tachometer off to the left side, speedometer off to the right side. You've got your current engine temperature along the very bottom. Along the bottom right-hand side, it's your current fuel gauge. How many kilometers or miles do you have until empty? There's also your current miles there. So you've got your digital speed, and then it's going to be digital miles. So this is kilometers per hour because I'm in Canada, digital miles. But you can also adjust your measurement units, so it's going to be miles per hour there, with the digital speed on the very bottom right being kilometers an hour instead. So it's going to depend on if you're in Canada or the States. You can see what's going on with your total trip count, or your total odometer, I should say. And then from there, you've got whether you're in park, reverse, neutral, drive, whatever the case may be. And then there's also a dedicated manual mode, but honestly, just figure out the paddle shifters. It's really cool being able to use that paddle shifter mode instead. From there, you've got your current temperature and then the current time. And then you can also see a few other options there. So as we kind of move up and down between different pages, there are a series of different pages available. And all I'm doing, just using these along the screen there. So first one is going to be your little shortcut. So you can change the meter view. So if you wanted to customize this a little bit, that's actually kind of neat. That's really neat, actually. So if you wanted to, you can adjust this out. More of like a classic look instead. Back down, you can adjust your audio sources this way, so jumping between all of your available sources that are active. You can also look at some driver assistance settings. So you've got lane assist with a warning, intervention, or vibration. So as you start to veer over into another lane without signaling, a warning means that you're going to get a little message letting you know, so a little yellow indication. But when you look at, that goes away quick, your lane assist, there's also the intervention. So the intervention will actually nudge you back into your lane. And then there's a vibration with 3 different options. So it's going to give you a little bit of a steering wheel shake, almost as if you're running over rumble pavement. It's going to feel like there's something wrong with your alignment. That's definitely not the case, but you've got the flexibility of being able to turn those settings off. So if they drive you nuts, the lane change assist, the blind spot assist, and things like that, you can toggle them all off. But the blind spot assist is a neat one too, because it's going to show you in your side view mirror, there's a little indicator light letting you know if somebody's into the blind spot. And then there's also the intervention method instead, but hopping back to emergency assist, there we go. Rear auto braking. So as you go to back up, if the vehicle recognizes there's something behind you that you may not have seen, it can automatically brake for you instead. But you do have the flexibility of being able to turn any of these safety settings off. So if you don't like any of them, you can disable them all. So many different options. Okay, so let's hop into this main part of the cluster screen. So you've got what's currently going on with your direction. There's also just a basic calming screen instead. Shooting across, there's also your trip counters. So you've got your drive counter there. You can push and hold the OK button in the very middle in order to reset. So you could reset all items, fuel economy, speed, driving time, etc. You can just push OK there. Do you want to confirm? Yes, and there we go. So when we go back, you can see there it's now zeroed out. So all you're doing is using the scroll wheel to go up and down, and then you're using these to go left and right. So you've got your trip counter, and then your fuel economy as well, and then back. So you've also got tire pressure. So you can see there, tire pressure is a little bit off. This thing is sitting on winter tires, so that's got to be updated. There's also the auto start stop system, which you can disable down the center stack there. One thing about start stop, when you turn it off and you turn your car off and turn it back on, you have to redisable that one again if you wanted to. There's also your 4x4 mode, so it can show you which wheel is getting which amount of power. And then there's also navigation. So as of right now, there's no active route going, but if there was one going, it's full mapping cluster. Hold on, I can actually show you this because this is really cool. All right, let's go destination, and we're gonna look for point of interest icons. Hold on, let's just take a second. Look at that. Full mapping cluster. I love that. So cool. So it's going to show you your full turn-by-turn directions right inside of the cluster screen. Oh, that's really cool. I love that. Then you can scroll down just to show either calming screen, your mapping cluster, or just the direction that you're facing. From there, you can see what's going on with your current stations, so you can push OK in order to adjust out to AM, FM, Sirius XM. So again, all of your available sources. Jumping across into your lane keeping system, or your safety settings, I should say.
Calculation is complete. Proceed to the nearest road.
Why, thank you. I'm canceling the route. All right, so you can see there you've got your blind spot system. So that's going to let you know if anybody's under the blind spot on either side, your forward sensing system, your lane changing system, and things like that. So if we go OK, you've got your, looks familiar, all of your driving assistance settings, which you can adjust all of these things out. So you can get to them a few different ways. Little speed limit assist sign, and then a series of different settings. So your VDC is going to be your traction stability control. When you toggle that off, you can see there, it gives you a warning, like, oh, danger, Will Robinson. You've got the flexibility to adjust some things here. Moving back into driver assistance, steering assist, that's the one where you can toggle off down the left, up just by your left knee. But that's the one, it's going to keep you fairly balanced in your lane as you drive. Not full self-driving, pretty dang close at the same time. And then the lane assist, blind spot assist, and emergency assist that we've already seen. You want your speed limit sign, yay or nay, so if it's available, you can show that, and it would show up as you start to drive. Speed adjusted by route is a neat one, because if you've got your route going and the speed drops, you can then, if you've got your adaptive cruise going, hit the set button in order to set it to that lower speed or higher speed instead. Parking aids. So it can let you know, there we go, that's what I'm looking for. Front and rear parking sensors. So the beeping that you get as you get closer to obstacles, those are your parking aids. So there's the rear one, the backup one, whatever the case may be, and you can turn those off if you wanted to. What volume do you want to get for it as well? And then how close before you get a notification? I find medium is pretty good there. And then rear cross traffic alert. As you're backing up, if somebody's coming perpendicular, it can let you know of a potential collision. Driver alertness, if you start to veer over too many times without signaling, start going into lanes, whatever the case may be, eventually it's going to tell you that you should probably take a break. Low temperature alert, nothing exciting there. Personal display, so you've got the option of showing different information, so you can see there along the left. What do you want showing? Do you just want it blank? I kind of like that. Time to destination, fuel economy is okay having it there. Average speed, I don't know, what do you think? Gear position maybe? Yeah, trip counter, I don't know if I'm crazy about it there. Blank. Navigation is kind of neat, so if you've got a route going, I think I'm just going to go gear position on that one. Matter of preference there. And there's also a head-up display. So head-up display, let's see if you're going to be able to see this one easily here. Hold on. Ah, yes, okay. So you can see the head-up display there, and it's going to show you a few things. So first off, you can adjust the brightness. So if you want it brighter, darker, etc. I always recommend just keeping it as bright as it'll possibly go. But back, you can adjust the height. So depending on how tall or short you are, you can adjust the positioning. You can rotate it, and then you can also show contents. So it's what do you want showing up inside of the display? So do you want navigation showing? Do you want driver assistance settings showing and things like that? So you can adjust what's actually showing up inside of the display there. So really customize it and make it your own. Do you want the speed limit sign there? You want your telephone, SMS messages, and things like that. And then reset it to bring it back to the factory default instead. You've also got the flexibility of being able to turn it off or on. So this button there, you just do a push in order to turn the system on or off that way. You can see when you do that, it disables it because you've turned it off. Eco mode, very useful for highway driving. So usually what I'll find, there's a series of drive modes. I'm typically going to be in sport mode and just regular city driving. You can be in auto mode to let the vehicle determine what's going on. There's eco mode, and then there's also a snow mode that's going to play with your traction and stability control instead. But honestly, like highway driving, eco mode, sport mode for regular city driving is what I personally am a fan of. But again, that one's going to be a matter of preference. And then eco driving, do you want to get your indicators, reports, and things like that? And then you can view your history to see what the best fuel economy is that you've gotten based off of this current route that you're taking, or since you've last reset. And back, exciting there, TPMS settings, so you can measure your tire pressure and PSI, KPA, bar. Clock settings, so inside of the cluster specifically, do you want to be in either a manual mode, auto mode, or a time zone mode? What format do you want? So military time or the 24-hour mode instead. Basic vehicle settings for lighting, so when you go to walk towards the vehicle later on at night, it can show off the headlights for you. There's some different accent lighting available in different parts of the vehicle. You can't change the color, but you can adjust the brightness, which is kind of nice. Light delay, so when you go to lock the vehicle, how long do the headlamps stay on for? Locking, let's see, selective unlock. So do you want the doors to unlock certain times. So when you go to shift to park, when you turn the vehicle off, or you just never want the vehicle to automatically turn or unlock the doors, I should say. When you go to lock the vehicle using the fob, do you want to get a horn? Yes or no? Wipers, do you want to be in, do you want rain sensing? And then reverse link. So if you've got your front windshield wipers going, if you go into reverse, it's automatically going to turn on your rear wiper as well when you're in reverse link. Personal drive modes. So if you set up your own personal mode, so there you go, you can see there, you've got your mode selector with personal, but when you're in that personal mode, what happens? Do you want to be in sport, standard, or eco acceleration? Steering, sport, tightens things up nicely. So your standard is going to be more like a bigger throw in order to turn, versus sport stiffens things up nicely. Trace control and bring back to basic settings there. Driving position, so you've got the option of easy entry exit for your seat and for the steering wheel. What that means is when you go to turn the vehicle off, with your seat slide, it's going to back the seat up for you to get in and out of the vehicle easier. And same idea with the steering wheel. With that one turned on, it's going to push the steering wheel in order for you to get in or out easier. And then when you go to turn the vehicle on, it's going to bring it back to its previously set position as well. But you've also got the flexibility of adjusting out your seat memory. So you can push there first, and then once you hit set, you then quickly push either 1 or 2. So you can set driving position 1 or 2. So driving position 1 has now been saved. And that's the same for the driver and for the passenger side in some trim levels of the vehicle. Rear door alert. So if the rear door is open, yay or nay, you want to get a horn or alert or nothing happening there. Basics for maintenance. So if you're doing maintenance yourself, you can reset notifications for your air filter, for your tires, and things like that. You can customize the display a teeny little bit. So main menu selection, what do you want showing up there? I'm typically a fan of having the navigation going there. Route guidance, do you want to get alerts as you come up to an upcoming turn? Do you want to get a welcome effect when you turn the vehicle on? And operator guidance, nothing exciting there. Units, there we go. Do you want to be in PSI, kPa, or bar, Celsius, Fahrenheit? What language do you want? English, English, French, or Spanish? And then for mileage and fuel, do you want to be in liters per 100, miles per gallon, whatever the case may be? And then factory reset just brings you back to the factory default instead. There's also a flexibility of adjusting the brightness. So you can go plus or minus this way if you wanted to adjust the brightness of the cluster screen. So if you find it a little bit too bright at night, you've got the flexibility to dim it out a little bit if you wanted to. So I know that is a lot of information, but there's a lot of things you needed to know about that screen. But that's everything you needed to know about the steering wheel, as well as the cluster screen inside of the Infiniti QX60.